In this video, we will be talking about the Etherscan.io platform and what technical information about the Ethereum blockchain we can get out of this platform. You can say it's a go-to platform if you want to get any technical information related to the Ethereum main network, but also this platform is connected with some of the test networks like Roopstones or the Coin test networks. So if you want to get any technical information about these Ethereum networks, you simply go on the Etherscan.io. To access the platform, this is the link. And if I go on the end of this, the main page, it says Etherscan is a block explorer and analytics platform for the Ethereum blockchain. So in this video, I will be telling you that what technical information about these networks you can get out of this Etherscan platform. Okay, so here are some of the broad categories of information that you can get out of the Etherscan, the platform. The first category is general blockchain related information. The second category is public address related information. So if you have any public address of any account, you can get information like the transaction histories or the current balances. The third category is transaction related information. If you have any transaction ID, the Etherscan can be used to get the details of that transaction. And the fourth category is the ERC20 token related information. If you have the address of a token that is deployed in the Ethereum blockchain, and if you want to get a lot of information about that token, you can get out of this from the Etherscan platform. The fifth category is the user account. So in Etherscan, you can create a user account and it gives you a lot of functionalities that I will be showing you. And the sixth functionality that is provided by this platform is the developer API. So you can get a developer API key and then you can integrate your platform with the Etherscan platform. Okay, so let's start with the general blockchain related information that you can get out of the Etherscan platform. If I switch to the homepage, you can see that there's a lot of information which is being displayed about the Ethereum blockchain. One thing you should notice that I'm connected with the Ethereum main network, so this information is being displayed for the main Ethereum network. But I can switch to other networks which are mainly the test networks. So you can connect with the Roopstone test network, Coin test network, Rinkable test networks, and other test networks. But just make sure that, note that, there is only one main network. So I'm connected with the main network. So you can see that the current Ether price is around $1944. If I click on this link, you can see the historical graph movement of the Ether in the Ether price in the market. So since the Ethereum blockchain has been launched, so you can see that, for example, in the January 2016, the Ether was priced around below $1, which was the golden time to have a lot of Ethers. But anyway, so you can see that in July 2017, the Ether price started picking up, and in January 2021, the Ether price really start going to the start picking up. It goes to around $4,800, and right now the Ether price is around $2,000. So that graph is showing the historical price movement of the Ether over the time. The second information is the total number of transactions that has been executed in the Ethereum main network. It's around 1,570 million transactions, and you can see that at the moment the network is executing 15.7 transactions per second. So that's the speed of the transactions. If I click on this link, it will show you all the transactions that has been executed by now. And if I go down, you can see that there are 10,000 pages, and these are the transactions that has been executed recently. And so if I click on any transaction, you can see more details. We will come back to these details a little bit later. So let's go back on the homepage, and you can see that some other information like what is the transaction gas prices which are being charged by the network, and then there's a market cap which is around $231 billion. If I click on this link, you can see that there's a graph and some information like, for example, right now the total supply of Ether is around 119 million Ethers that has been created in the network. The market cap is around $231 billion. I guess if you multiply this number with the current Ether price, you will get this number. And then there's a graph showing the distribution of the Ethers into the network. For example, around 60 millions were created as part of the crowd sale, 12 millions as part of some other purposes, and the green is showing that the Ethers that has been distributed to the miners. So you know that in the Ethereum there are miner nodes which are always competing for the new Ethers that are being created into the blockchain by validating the transactions. So you can see that till now 43 million Ethers has been distributed to the miners, which is around 36% of the total Ether supply. So that is so these statistics are always changing with time, and you can come on these pages to get the latest information. These are some information about some technical aspects of the blockchain, and then you can see the transaction history in 14 days. So these are a number of transactions that has been executed recently, and then you have some list, for example, the latest blocks. So you know that in the Ethereum, in any blockchain, these are the blocks that are being created over the time, and you can see that this is the latest block that has been created, and this is the miner who has validated or you can say created this block into the blockchain, and the Ethers that has been created were awarded to this miner. So if I click on this link, and you can see that some block related information, then there are some latest transaction which is again the same that we see in the previous list. So that's the general blockchain related information you can get from the home page. Of information that you can get out of the Etherscan is the public address related information. If you have a public address of any account on the network, you can get a lot of information about that public address out of the Etherscan. For the complete URL is etherscan.io/address and then the address, the public address. So that is the complete address to get any information about any public address. So if I go open my Ethereum wallet, and you can see that my Ethereum wallet is connected with the Coin test network. I can switch to the main network as well. So on the test network, you can see that I have that many Ethers into the blockchain, and I have executed some transactions or having some assets into the with this associated with this address. So if I copy this address and come back in the text editor, so that is the complete address on the Etherscan to get any information about particular public address. If I copy this address and paste it in the URL, and the network is showing me that the information of this address on the main network. Remember, we are connected with the Ethereum main network, so I'm using this address on the test network, but all of these addresses are valid on any network. So on this particular network, I don't have any history, but if I switch to the Coin test network, the address becomes, you just simply have to enter the test network name over here, which is, in this case is Coin dot, and if I enter this URL, and now the Etherscan will show me the address information, the address history on the Coin test network. So you can see that, I mean, my current balance is being shown over here, and then the most important is that what transactions has been executed through this account. I was using this account on the test network for a lot of reasons and testings. I was minting and burning a lot of tokens, the ERC20 based tokens, and a lot of other testings. So you can see that the Coin test network will be showing me the history of all the transactions that has been executed through this account. So if you can click any transaction and get more details about that particular transaction. So so that is the address that you will be using to get any information about any public address on the network. So the next set of information you can get out of the Etherscan is the transaction related information. So if you have any transaction ID that has been executed on any test network, you can get more information or detailed information about that transaction from the Etherscan. Now the address is the etherscan.io/dx, and if the transaction is executed on a test network, you will include the name of that transaction, that test network in the beginning of the URL, and then this is where you will enter the transaction ID. So let me go back in my Ethereum wallet, and this is one of the account that I was using on the Coin test network to do some testings. I have sent many transactions through this account, and these are called activities in the MetaMask. So if I click on a particular activity or transaction and copy the transaction ID and come back in the text editor and paste that transaction ID. So this is the complete URL of this transaction related information on the Etherscan. If I copy this URL and paste it in the URL, and now the Etherscan will provide me the detailed information about this particular transaction ID. So you can see that this is the transaction ID again. The status is success, and this is the block ID, the blockchain block in which this transaction has been included. It was sent 3 days and 14 hours ago, and this is the address from which this transaction came. This is of course my account from the MetaMask. So this is the account that I used to send this transaction, and this is the contract or the smart contract, which is the ERC20 based contract on which this transaction was executed. And you can see that some tokens were transferred. Actually, I mean, this is a burn transaction. So what happens is that from this address, some tokens were sent to the 0th address. So in Ethereum, whenever you want to burn some tokens, the tokens are sent to the 0th address. So this is the amount of tokens that has been burned, and this is the smart contract on which this transaction was executed. There is no ether transferred in this transaction, and this is the transaction fee charged by the network, and this is the gas price at the time of the transaction execution. And you can see that, I mean, there are links that connects. For example, if you want to go and get the detailed information about for that particular address from which this transaction came, you can click that. This is a contract link. I can go on that contract on which this transaction was executed. All right, so let's take another transaction ID. If I switch to another account, and you can see that there are some transactions that has been executed. You can see that, I mean, a lot of some ethers were being received on this account. So let's, I mean, take this transaction, and I copy the transaction ID. So what happens is that in this transaction, 0.01 ether were received. So if I want to get more information about this transaction ID, I copy the transaction ID, go back in the URL and replace the transaction ID, and now the Etherscan will provide me details about this particular transaction. Again, the status is success. The block in which the blockchain block in which this transaction was included, it was executed 91 days ago, and this is the address from where I received 0.1 ether, and this is my address on which the ethers were received. This is the transaction fee again, and the transaction price at the time of execution of this transaction. So the thing is that, I mean, if you have a transaction ID, you can get any detailed information about that transaction out of the Etherscan. Okay, so the next set of information you can get out of the Etherscan is the ERC20 token related informations. So the ERC20 tokens are the custom tokens that has been deployed into the blockchain by different individuals or the companies, and the Etherscan can reveal a lot of information about those tokens. So the complete address of any token is this one. For the main network, you just simply enter etherscan.io/token and then the token address. So the thing is that, I mean, you must have the token address of the token that you want to get information out of the Etherscan. If a token is on any test network, you will enter that. You will include that test network at the beginning of the URL. So let's go back on the Etherscan, and if I view one of the transactions that I executed on one of the test tokens that I have deployed into the blockchain, if I click on this link and then I click on this link, and this is the smart contract address, and you can see that the complete URL is coin.etherscan.io/token and then the token address. So you can see that a lot of information about this particular token is being revealed by the Etherscan. You can see the total number of total supply of the tokens into this token, which is 9,990, and then this is the symbol of this token. And there are two holders or two addresses who are holding some tokens from this total supply of the tokens. That is the total number of transfers, or you can say the total number of transactions that has been executed on the smart contract, the address of the smart contract, and there is at 18, and this smart contract, or you can say the tokens can be divided to 18 decimal places. And you can see that the transactions that has been executed on this smart contract, the very first transaction was executed at the time of the this token deployment into the blockchain, and you can see that 10,000 tokens were initially created, and then I transfer these tokens to different addresses, and then you can see that there's a minting or the burning of these tokens. And then you can see the time when this transaction was executed. That's 3 days ago, 19 days ago, and 21 days ago. The very first transaction was executed. These are the addresses that are involved into that particular transaction. So if, for example, transfer of the tokens from this address to this address, and that many tokens were involved into this particular transactions. And to get more information about a particular transaction, you can click on that transaction ID. All right, so this is one of the test tokens that I have deployed into the Coin test network. So let's go into the main network, network, and let's find out some real world tokens that has been deployed into the Ethereum blockchain. One of the very famous token is USDC token. So this is one of the you can see that this is the symbol of the token, and this is basically the USD coin into the blockchain. You can say that each USD coin is equivalent to $1 into the blockchain. So for example, if you have $100 and you want to convert them to the blockchain token, most likely you will get the USDC coins. All right, so let's and you can see that I know the symbol of this token. I don't know the address of this token, so I simply go on the etherscan.io and enter the symbol of the token, and then the Etherscan will reveal some of the related tokens, and this is the most likely the token that I was searching for. So let's click on this token and notice the address, which is the etherscan.io. This is the main network token. So there is no test network at the beginning, and then the token, and this is the token address of this particular USDC token into the blockchain. And now you can see that a lot of information is being revealed about this particular token. You can see that this is the smart contract address. This token can be divided to 6 decimal places. This is the company which has deployed this token into the blockchain. You can click this link and get more information about this particular company. And this is the total number of tokens that has been minted, or the total supply of the tokens. And you can see that this is the total number of holders of the token. You can see that it's roughly 1.4 million holders of the token into the blockchain. And this is the total number of transactions that has been executed. It's roughly 39 million or 40 million transactions that has been executed. And then there's a list of all the transactions that has been executed on the smart contract. You can see that there's 4,000 pages of the transactions, And these are the most latest transactions that has been transferred, that has been executed on this smart contract only 17 seconds ago. That many USDC tokens were transferred from this address to this address. And you can get more information about this transaction by clicking on this particular transactions. All right, so you can see that a lot of sort of operations that are being performed on this smart contract. And all right, so let's search for another token. A similar token is USDT, which is also the same as USDC. So this token is also represent the USD fiat currency on the blockchain. So either you will receive USDC or USDT, and again you can see that this is the token on the main network, and this is the address of this particular token, and this is different from the previous token. And again, a lot of information. Again, this is the company that has launched this token into the blockchain, and this is the total number of tokens that has been minted or transferred. Has different holders of this tokens into the blockchain, and it's about 4.5 million holders of this token, and that many transactions has been executed. So that means that this token has more holders or more supply than the USDC. All right, so again, all the transactions that has been executed on this token will be shown over here. Like 59 seconds ago, that many USDC has been transferred from this address to this address. All right, so you can see that a lot of information is being exposed about a specific USDC token. If you don't know the address of the token, you can search that on the Etherscan. But if you know the token address, you simply go on the etherscan.io/token and then the token address. Okay, so the next is the user account with different functionalities. So you can create your own user account in the Etherscan and get access to different functionalities. So let me get back on the Etherscan and click on the sign in. You can easily create your own account. I already have one account that I'm going to log in, and I click on the login, and now I'm logging into my personal account in the Etherscan. You can see the account information, my username, email address, some other information. Click on the account settings. You can change your account password and some other links. So these are some of the functionalities that you can get access. For example, one functionality is the watch list, and you can see that I have one watch list or one address. So what it says that an email notification can be sent to you when an address on your watch list sends or receive any transaction. So if you want to be notified that some transaction has been executed on specific address or a smart contract, so you can add that address, account address, or the ERC20 token address into your watch list. So anytime some activity is performed, you will be notified through the email address. So simply click on the add and enter the Ethereum address, enter some transaction and what sort of notification or activity you want to monitor, and then click on the continue, and then that address will be added to your watch list. You can have any number of watch lists, and anytime any activity is performed on these addresses, you will be notified by the email. The second is the private name tag. So you can add any addresses, and you can give a specific, meaningful tag name to that address to be reminded. For example, if I am interacting with some addresses, I am receiving or sending tokens or the ethers to that specific addresses, and I want to give them. Of course, I cannot remember these addresses, so I can give in this account. I can add to these addresses, and I can give them a specific private tag name so that I will be reminded that what this address is all about. For example, this particular address I have added, I have given it as custom name, mega tag receiving address. So you can add any addresses and give them some meaningful names. The third one is the transaction private note. So if you have done, or you can say you have executed some transactions and you want to keep a record of those transactions with some descriptions. For example, if I go in my Ethereum wallet and I open the one of the accounts, you can see that I was receiving some ethers on this account, and I want to remember this particular transaction, and I want to remember that for what purpose this transaction was executed. So I can click on that transaction, I copy the transaction ID, and then I go in the Etherscan. I can make a note of this transaction for the future references. I can click on that, enter the transaction and give some description, what was the purpose of this transaction, and then create a private note. So what happens is that you have created a reminder or a private note of this particular transaction into your account, and you can come back or log in into your account and get, if you want to be reminded of that transaction, the purpose of that transaction, you can get that information out of your notes. Okay, so the next is the user account with different functionalities. So you can create your own user accounts into the Etherscan and get access to different functionalities. So let's go back and just sign in into my own account. You can easily create your own account. So I have already one account, so I can log in into that, and the fire hydrant, this one, and this one. Verify. All right, so log in into my account. So I just log in into my own account in the Etherscan. There's account overview with my username and the email address, account settings where I can change the password of my account. And these are some of the functionalities that I can get into my private account. For example, one functionality is the watch list. So what happens is that you can add the private account addresses or any ERC20 token addresses, and if you want to monitor activities on those addresses, you can add them into your watch list. The statement over here is that an email notification can be sent to you when an address on your watch list sends or receives any transactions. So to add a new watch list, simply click on the add button, enter the Ethereum address of the private account on which you want to put the watch list or any ERC20 tokens, and put a description, and then you can select the type of notification that you want to receive, and then click on the continue, and then that address or the ERC20 token address will be added to your watch list, and anytime the transactions, the type of transactions that you have selected, if that transaction is executed into the blockchain, you will be notified by the email address. So that is the watch list. The second one is the private name tags. So you can give any meaningful names to some addresses. For example, you can see that I have added one address and I have given a meaningful name to that address, megatag receiving address. So you can add any number of addresses and give them some meaningful private names, and you can log in into your Etherscan, and you can, if you want to be reminded what address is that for, you can add those addresses into your private name tags tab. The third one is the transaction private notes. So I mean, you can make notes of any transactions, any important transactions for the future references. For example, if I open my Ethereum wallet, and you can see that, I mean, on this address I have received many ethers from other addresses, and for example, I want to make a note on this transaction, that for what purpose this transaction was executed, or why I received this many ethers from other address. I can click on that, I can copy the transaction ID, and then come back in the Etherscan and click on the transaction private notes, and click on the add button, enter the transaction, give some details, and then make create a record of this transaction into my account, and then in future I can refer this to be reminded what purpose this transaction was executed for. Alright, so the last point is the developer APIs or the API keys. If you have a web application or a software that you want to connect with the Etherscan and get access to different blockchain related functionalities through the Etherscan, you have to create your developer API keys. I'm not going to go in more details, but for just brief reference, to create these developer keys, you have to log in into your Etherscan account, and on the left side you can see there's an API keys link, and this is where if you click on the add, you can create a new API key for your application. You can have any number of API keys, and these are the API keys you will be using in your software or web application to connect it with the Etherscan platform. Alright, so that's it for now. You can see that we cover many functionalities that you can access through the Etherscan platform.